What profession would keep you from dating someone?
Wingardium Leviosa.
Any job that required them to be away for months at a time or extensive travel. Any job that had really unstable income month to month. My GF's job right now is perfect. She works 4 days a week, 10 hours a day, always the same start/stop time, every Friday/Sat/Sun is off. It makes planning stuff super easy.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Any profession that makes them a celebrity. I thoroughly enjoy not being in any spotlight.
Wingardium Leviosa.
I dated a woman who got into streaming while we were together, and while it wasn't the singular reason for our breakup, it was a big factor. It went from a hobby to being so much more as she started getting a larger following. Last I checked she had a few thousand followers, so not massive by any means, but it was nearly all she thought about and talked about. It was exhausting, and ended up feeling like I was an accessory to the front she put up on them. Never ever again.
Wingardium Leviosa.
As someone who's bartended for ages, bartenders are very hard to date. Getting off work as late as 4 a.m., the culture, it's hard to find someone outside the industry who can put up with it, and equally hard to find someone within who you can be healthy with.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Yes. I'm surprised I had to scroll this far to see this one. I used to work in a restaurant and dated a few bartenders. They usually, but not always, have drinking problems, work odd hours, and usually flirt with drunk dudes to get tips. Plus everyone working in a restaurant is fucking each other, so cheating is super common. My dating life got a lot better when I decided to make the rule of no dating bartenders or servers and left the industry.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Manually masturbating caged animals for artificial insemination. Although it is a job that makes a difference.
Wingardium Leviosa.
One of my biology professors in college previously worked for Yuga's veterinary school. He told the class he was once in charge of masturbating Yuga's bulldog mascot Yuga by massaging his prostate and collecting the sample for lineage, artificial insemination purposes. He didn't seem ashamed.
Wingardium Leviosa.
I'm a massage therapist. One of my friends, also massage therapist, started seeing a guy and he said he wasn't sure he was totally comfortable with her doing massage and would she consider finding another job. And that was the end of that budding romance.
Wingardium Leviosa.
I'm a massage therapist myself and my biggest problem has been my past boyfriends expecting me to give them an hour-long massage every night no matter how tired I am. Plus, their family and my family assuming they could get free massages on demand 24/7. I'm glad your friend bailed on that dumb guy.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Nurse or doctor. They work very long hours and come home tired.
Wingardium Leviosa.
My wife is a teacher, and that's bad enough. I cannot imagine being with a nurse or a doctor.
Wingardium Leviosa.
The most miserable man I've ever met was an ophthalmologist/surgeon. I said, "How was your long weekend?" Him, "Terrible. I didn't have a long weekend. I got to spend 9 hours on my feet on the holiday, trying to save some idiot's eye because he decided to slide down a banister head first. I have to do it, though. Yeah, that's the job, helping people. So I guess that's good at least. I'm doing it because I have a mortgage to pay as well as 2 car payments, 2 kids in school, and a wife who just reminded me again that we haven't been on vacation in over a year. The mortgage. A 5,000 square per foot home. 2 cars. Matching BMWs. Kids in school. Private school. Their last vacation. Chartered yacht in Grenada. But yeah, he's living paycheck to paycheck just trying to get by like the rest of us.
Wingardium Leviosa.
I'm a paramedic, so my vote is nurses. Don't do it.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Interesting. I used to be a paramedic, I'm now a firefighter. I would say flight attendants, followed closely by cops.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Agreed. However, if you are a young guy in your 20s who wants to hang with your buddies a lot but also have a girlfriend, a flight attendant is perfect. They bugger off for 3 or 4 nights at a time. You just try not to think about what they're doing when they're gone lol.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Lawyer. I was raised by 2 of them. I've worked with and known several in my extended social circle. Every single one I've met has never been able to turn it off, and I'd prefer not to be examined and cross-examined on a date.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Lawyer seems as much a personality type as it is a profession.
Wingardium Leviosa.
My husband and I were talking about that because we're both lawyers, and we have noticed that there's a significant portion of the profession that is unhealthy in a very cliché way. About a third of the lawyers we know are lawyer is my identity types. They eat, breathe, sweat the job. They never stop formulating an argument, and they can spot a flaw in anything. They work from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. every weekday and at least 10 hours every weekend because their firm values families. If they get married, they also get divorced within 10 years. They are an alien species that seems genuinely comfortable wearing suits, the way most people are comfortable in a t-shirt. And then literally every other lawyer we know is just a nerd. We talk shop, sure, because we're a huge nerds and we find it interesting. But that first group, they ain't right. We think it's some kind of side effect of
Wingardium Leviosa.
being upper middle class, going straight through from school to school and then into a high-pressure job at a firm they're like that because they've never held a job that wasn't like this and never lived a life too different from what they have now. These generally aren't people who spent their 20s working for tips and sleeping on a mattress without a frame. Those working class folks can become lawyers, but I've never seen them become that kind of lawyer.
Wingardium Leviosa.
I hate saying it, but police officers. 90% are attracted to the job for power reasons, and I tend to not like their personalities.
Wingardium Leviosa.
There are also those higher than average incidences of DV and alcoholism. Hard pass.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Family across the street when I was a kid was a cop. He abused both his wife and kids. We moved away, and as luck would have it, across the street from the cop he was cheating with. I made sure to mention to his kids that I saw his truck and boat there often. I have never been able to find the full details, but I am pretty sure the wife killed him. She was arrested on a second-degree murder charge the day after his death. The grand jury no-billed her indictment.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Physician? I dated a surgeon for 3 years in my 20s. Terrible hours, so much drama, so much ego. Nurses throwing themselves at him every day. I later went to nursing school myself and have never, ever been tempted to date a doctor.
Wingardium Leviosa.
I know some fantastic doctors. I know some asshole doctors. I know some smart doctors. I know some fantastic husbands and fathers. I only know a handful of guys, in the thousands of doctors I have come across in the last 20+ years and multiple hospitals, who hit the sweet spot in the Venn diagram.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Police officer.
Wingardium Leviosa.
For sure. One of my best friends used to be a police officer, and she always told us don't ever date one. Most of them are either alcoholics, cokeheads, or both. She also said about half her colleagues had cheated on their spouses at some point, and that's only what she knew about.
Wingardium Leviosa.
I'm a little prejudiced against insurance adjusters. I've known a few and they're good people, but if I were dating someone whose profession was the same as people who have made my life a nightmare in the past, it would be a rocky start. It's probably small-minded of me. But I think of it like DUI attorneys. Someone has to fuck them, but it doesn't have to be someone who was hit by a drunk driver.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Sex worker, mortician, corrections officer, spy.
Wingardium Leviosa.
What's wrong with a mortician?
Wingardium Leviosa.
Nothing at all. However, people/dates often talk about work and, frankly, death, embalming. Having to hear about necrophiliac former colleagues is not something that I would find enjoyable. Interestingly, I have had several friends that were morticians, however we never hung around for more than an hour or two, so conversation never turned to talking shop other than about how private equity was consolidating the industry after basically being a mom and pop/local business for decades.
Wingardium Leviosa.
School teacher. It's just changed too much and they carry such a heavy burden all the time. I'm not sure when the switch happened from teachers/parents as a partnership to teachers versus parents, but that is in the top 5 of worst things ever. My mom saw it coming and I'm glad both of my parents got out of teaching with their mental health, physical health, and reputations intact. Teachers today seem like they are in a no-win situation.
Wingardium Leviosa.
No matter the profession, someone whose job would require to travel a lot, like far abroad and for longer periods, would definitely not be my preference and probably a showstopper.
Wingardium Leviosa.
What if you could go with them on the company dime?
Wingardium Leviosa.
With longer periods I actually mean something like a couple of weeks and multiple times per year. Not a fixed position abroad but based on projects, so someone who would be abroad for more than 25% of the time or something. Not really realistic for me to join them since I have a job of my own.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Any fake profession, chiropractors, televangelists, MLM. Also police?
Wingardium Leviosa.
Chiropractors lol. I told my friend the other day, who goes to his Chiro weekly, that he's in a damn cult. Go to PT bro.
Wingardium Leviosa.
I work in a hospital. I used to work in neuro. I had a handful of patients who were paralyzed by chiropractors. Whenever someone tells me they are going to see theirs, I remind them of that fact. One patient got paralyzed from her neck. Another completely lost movement of her arm. Some were left with debilitating headaches.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Cop. Career military. Clergy. Politician. Those are absolute no's for me. Doctor or lawyer is iffy just because work-life balance can sometimes be non-existent, so it'd be case by case. And of course any job that requires them to be away for very long periods of time, like rig worker or truck driver. Good jobs, but I just personally couldn't handle that much separation.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Bartender. I've seen some things in the restaurant business.
Wingardium Leviosa.
I too want to hear the stories.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Which ones? The coke parties after hours. Bartenders flirting with patrons and then the patrons starting fights over the bartenders. That time some dude got a gun and came back to the bar to fight over a single beer. How the bar owner's husband fucked his son's girlfriend, gave her Hausfrau too, and she gave it to the son.
Wingardium Leviosa.
My ex-wife's attorney is definitely banned.
Wingardium Leviosa.
I am thinking your ex-wife's attorney already fucked you hard.
Wingardium Leviosa.
How did you know? Raw.
Wingardium Leviosa.
I am thankful that when I got divorced we had no children, no assets, no money, no house, no investments. She just filed a form at the courthouse and got a hardship waiver, meaning she filed for free. I didn't do a damn thing. That was the best no money she ever spent.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Sales.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Alright, I'm curious as to why lol. Most answers seem self-explanatory, but this one is seemingly by itself.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Not that person, but also adding in, another tough part is depending on the type of sales. In a lot of sales jobs I've seen, their commission cut often ends up being a pretty significant part of their pay, which just makes it tough thinking about longer-term partnership on financial stability and planning together. Also, especially if it's the type of sales that requires extensive travel or uneven working hours. Also, I'll say often sales, especially in the tech, industrial, and software spaces, have a very strong tendency to draw/foster different, but similarly, problematic work and social cultures.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Any kind of influencer, if you can even call that a profession.
Wingardium Leviosa.
I've stopped calling them influencers and call most of them salespeople now. It feels like a more realistic title.
Wingardium Leviosa.
I know 2 outdoors influencers. They hike/climb/bike/kayak wearing the stuff they are paid to wear. They know exactly what their job is and, actually, work a lot. I get that that's not what we complain about when we say influencer, but there's a thin line between legit marketing influencer and some dude with Insta.
Hey guys, this is the Rogue YouTuber here. I recently had a big change in my life. I had a baby daughter. Here she is. If you could do me a favor and remember to hit the subscribe button and bang the bell, I'm hoping to really create a YouTube channel that really gets people excited and brings people the best, most interesting content collated from across the internet. I'm saving up to save my little girl to Carnegie Mellon Computer Science Department. So please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.